In 2019, the government asked RTE, the electricity transmission network, to do a prospective work to reflect on the energy model of the France by 2050. RTE presented its first results on Monday. The France has set itself the goal of reaching zero net emissions in 2050 and less than 40% of energy consumption. Fossil fuels now account for 60% of energy consumption in France. Therefore, the challenge is ecological, but it's also of energy origin, regarding our dependence on fossil fuels imported from abroad. But let's wonder is it conceivable for us to get out of fossil fuels cleanly and quickly to start our eco-transition? The answer is not simple and presents different scenarios to achieve our goal. Globally, it goes through three main axes. The first one is the electrification of uses, then the development of renewable energies and low-carbon energies. But the solution might be a mix of different scenarios that the RTE report deal with, and it's legitimate to consider several of them to achieve our objectives. There are two families of scenarios. There are three scenarios with 100% renewable energy and three other scenarios with the construction of new nuclear power plants. Even if RTE does not directly pronounce itself in favor of one scenario, rather than another, it depends the energy mix and the renewable energy. Nuclear duo are for ecological but also economic reasons. All these scenarios came up with the same conclusion, including a security supply and a zero-emission balance in 2050. They are not all possible, considering that electricity consumption is going to increase in the coming decades and that the nuclear plants are starting to get cost-effective. The M scenarios do not rely on the construction of new nuclear power plants with a total nuclear phase-out thereafter. The difference between these scenarios is the pace of development of renewable energies and the energies selected. The 100% renewable energy scenario is possible, but difficult. In all of these scenarios, the means of flexibilities are essential, because they are the ones that reduce the effect of the intermittency of renewable energy. The N scenarios are based on the construction of new nuclear power plants. The difference between these scenarios is the pace of construction of new reactors. The scenario N03 provides for the construction of new reactors, but also the extension of the current power plants. Scenario N also contains a lot of renewable energy. These scenarios are more varied and have the merit of being at the same time more realistic. They highlight nuclear, modular, and decarbonized technologies. Whatever the scenario is, the cost of energy will remain stable, or at least more stable than in the current system, depending on the gas and oil. Only the photovoltaic on small roofs remain more expensive than the nuclear. RTE estimates the current full cost of the electric system at 45 billion per year. In 2050, in its report, it oscillates between 59 and 80 billion euros. But which one of these scenarios did we choose? N2 scenario seems to be the most interesting because they have a more reasonable cost, and it will make it possible to keep a reasonable share of nuclear power. Overall, we can achieve the electricity system of carbon neutrality by 2050 at a controllable cost for our country. We need to develop major renewable energies as quickly as possible before about 10 years, and we need to extend existing nuclear reactors to maximize our low-carbon production. The N2 scenario is positioned with 63% renewable energy and 37% old and new nuclear. It will mainly develop solar at 20%, onshore wind at 20% too, and new nuclear installation at 22%. This scenario will moderate and ensure the stability of the electrical system and extend some current reactors up to 60 years. It will greatly accelerate the commissioning of a large number of new reactors between 2035 and 2050. To conclude, there is an urgency, no matter which scenario is chosen.